It's lovely to have you here today. We've got an Easter-themed cooking demonstration for you today with a wonderful Thermomix. And now, as Sandy said, any questions I ask you throughout this presentation, you can pop them into the chat boxes with your consultant. So the chat you've set up with your consultants, feel free to answer those questions there. So as Sandy said, my name's Helen. I'm a business development manager. I have been with Thermomix for 13 years. And in actual fact, I promise that every one of these virtual cooking experiences, I would choose a different top for my journey in Thermomix. So today you are seeing a top that I got from the very, very first ThermoFest conference that we had back in 2009 to Queenstown. That was my first experience of traveling with Thermomix, earning myself a all expenses paid trip, and my husband for that matter back then. And we get these little t-shirts to commemorate that time. So that's the top that I'm wearing today. All right, so on the menu today is hot cross buns, because that's a hot topic at the moment with Easter just around the corner, and a orange custard. So I am tweaking very slightly some of the recipes, and I'll go through that with you. What I'd love to find out from you guys, first and foremost, or what, not me, but your consultants, please share with your consultants, what is important to you guys when you're cooking. So today, I'm gonna go through all of the functions and features of the Thermomix, maybe not all of them, but a large amount of them, because there are quite a few functions and features of our Thermomix, and it would take probably a lot longer than what we've got today. And that's what your consultant's for. I'm also going to introduce you to 3 opportunities, guys. The first opportunity is how you can have one of these sorts of on a nice smaller scale with your consultant and a couple of friends. The second opportunity I'm going to introduce you to is how to get one of these babies into your kitchen if you don't already. And that's something you can mention to your consultant in your chat boxes. Are you already an owner? If you are, which model do you have? And if you're not, pop that in there too. The third opportunity I'm going to introduce you to is how to reduce the outlay of one of these, of the TM6. And we've got a business information session right at the end of the cooking experience for any of you that are interested in finding out a bit more about that. Without further ado, let me introduce you to our wonderful Thermomix. I'm going to do those 2 dishes in the 2 different cooking functions that we have. One is going to be done manually, and that will be the custard. And the hot cross buns is going to be done in the guided cooking. So we've got guided cooking, we've got manual cooking. And if you have a look, as Sandy said, if you double click on the little screen, which has my name on it, showing this close up, you'll be able to see what I'm doing here on the screen. So if I slide over to the left, I've got all of our modes. And the beautiful thing about our smart connected Thermomix is that these modes can get updated at any time. Just like your iPhone gets updated, so does your smart connected kitchen appliance here, your Thermomix. And so we've currently got quite a few modes. One of the newest ones is this thicken mode, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. Here on our main screen, we've got our time, our temperature, and our speed, and it's a touch screen. So just by touching it, it will activate. If I swipe to the left, or to the right, might be your right, is our Cookidoo Platform, which connects automatically to your Cookidoo Platform. And anything I do on my phone or my computer will automatically come on here, and anything I do here will also just translate to that. Sandy is going to go through some of that Cookidoo and what that is all about a little bit later while we're cooking. So you'll find out a bit more about that. So let's get straight into our hot cross buns because they need some time to proof. I wanted to just show you that when I go to these 3 little dots here in the corner, it takes me to my menu, and I've actually popped the 2 recipes that I'm doing today in my week. So that's something that you can do. You can schedule your whole weeks of cooking and meals. Maybe on a weekend, you can set up the next week, and then you've got it all on the screen. So when I click into my week, here it's got hot cross buns, and I've got 2 custards because I wanted to show you the different types of custard that you can access here. But let's go into hot cross buns just for the moment. And if you scroll down, what you're going to see is the ingredients, all of the steps of the recipe, and even some tips and variations right down the bottom and nutritional information. Now I've got all my ingredients ready to go, so I'm going to get started. Okay, so the very first thing it's asking is if you're using Zest, because it does tell you, you know, even though we're using guided cooking and the Thermomix is guiding us through this recipe, you are still in control. The Thermomix is there to complement your cooking, and so you can adjust and tweak things as you like. I'd love you to let your consultants know, are you a recipe follower to a T? Or are you somebody that likes to just chuck things in and, you know, create from scratch? Or are you in between, which is where I'm at? I'm a tweaker. I like to look at a recipe and then I might tweak it as I go. Usually because I'm not really well prepared and I'll get through to one ingredient and realize, oh, I don't have that ingredient. What can I substitute that for? So I'm notorious for tweaking. All right, this is saying Zest. We are going to use Zest. So we're going to not skip the next step because we definitely want to use it. Oops, I heard that go twice then. So what's it saying? What it's saying is half a lemon or a lime zest without any pith. This is my tweak. I'm actually using orange rind today because I actually really like my hot cross buns, and so do my family, with the orange flavour rather than the lemon flavour. And it goes really well with my orange custard that I'm going to be making for you guys today. So when it says without the pith, guys, have a really close look. You've got to, I just use my peeler. Get yourself a really nice peeler and you just peel your orange or your lemon, trying not to have any of that white pith there because that will make it a little bit bitter. So we're going to pop that in. We're going to go to next, and it's asking for 100 grams of baker's flour. Now that's because it acts as a cutting agent when you have a dry ingredient with a wet ingredient. So I'm going to pop in the 100 grams because it's really going to assist in breaking down that rind super, super fine. So we'll pop in about 100 grams of baker's flour. Now baker's flour, guys, is a flour that's a stronger flour. It has more protein in it, and that's what you'd be using for any of your doughs. Okay. Next, it's telling me to pop on my wonderful lid of the Thermomix, and I've got a measuring cup, our beautiful measuring cup, which actually sits in, and I can do this. So anybody that's had the TM31 and the TM5 will know that that measuring cup you have to hold, whereas this one stays. And not only that, it actually reduces the sound of the Thermomix by 5 decibels. So it's an awesome little thing that you can actually get. It fits on any model Thermomix and you can get it in the mix shop. All right, so we've inserted our lid and measuring cup. It's automatically got 10 seconds on here, and it's telling me to turn the speed selector to speed 9. And it's got a little mark there. I'm not sure if you can see it. So it doesn't matter how far I turn that, it will stop automatically at that 9. So let's get that to mill up my rind. All right, that's done. So if I press next, it says to transfer and set aside. So let me just show you what we've got. Oh, it's beautiful. All right, so one little orange rind escaped, but that's cool. I'm just going to set that aside. But what you can see is there's not really any orange rind left in there. It's melded up beautifully with that flour, which acted as a cutting agent. So we're just going to set that aside. I don't know if I told you, but I'm a bit of a messy cook too. So that's okay because I'm in my own kitchen and I'm not messing up yours, right? All right. There we go. You get out as much as you can. We're going to pop that aside. Next, we want to add 250 grams of full milk. The Thermomix has these amazingly accurate scales which make your life super duper easy. It is my favorite function of the Thermomix. It cuts the most amount of time in my prep work. In actual fact, one of the examples I have is that I had a coconut butter cake that used to take me 40 minutes to prep it before I even got it into the oven because it had quite a few ingredients. In the Thermomix, it took me 3 minutes because of this scale function. Who loves their scale function? For those of you that do have a Thermomix. All right, so let's weigh in 250. It's weighing it in grams, but liquids like milk, water, mils and grams are equivalent. It's only when you're getting into oils and butters that it changes a little bit. So we're going to go 250. I think I measured it out before, but just in case. Okay, there we go. So next, we want to put it says a tablespoon of dried yeast or 40 grams of fresh yeast. What I like to use is these little sachets, but don't be fussy. At the moment, yeast is difficult to get, so whatever you can get, use that. But these little sachets work just as well. All right. What's our next step is to now insert our measuring cup and lid, and we're going to now heat our milk with our yeast so that we can start to activate it before we put our flour in there and knead it into a dough. So it's already got 3 minutes on here, 37 degrees, and I'm going to pop it onto speed 1. And while that's going, what you're going to see is these lights here, or actually they won't change because it's only at 37, but when you're cooking in your Thermomix and you'll see it with the custard, those lights will change. I'm going to cross to Sandy just so she can go through some of the promotions that we have at the moment. Sandy, cross over to you, babe.
Awesome, we can see that one fine, can we? Lovely. Okay, so all-inclusive offer, $2,269, complete package, and we have some fantastic options on how you can get that Thermomix in your kitchen. Not quite today, but you can put it in place today. And we're going to cover off some other ways on, you know, what's your best offer. And so the best offer is how can it be the most affordable way to get that in your kitchen. So, yeah, so we're going to talk about that. And you can follow that up more with your consultant who's I'm madly chatting with you. So we're fabulous time offer, which is just sneaking, and it's going to be extended until the end of April. So we've got our Eat Well at Home, and that's what we're all doing, and that's what we're all focused on, is eating well at home. And the great thing around that is that we're cooking from scratch, and this is where the Thermomix shines. So limited time offer when you order your Thermomix is our fabulous Eat Well at Home and the Thermo Server, which is your go-to in your kitchen. Okay, let's go back to Helen.
Thank you so much, Sandy. So it's still got about 1 minute 26 to go.
Okay. Do you want me to share a bit more?
Yeah, go for it.
Absolutely. I jumped the gun there because I thought I saw that you had finished that, because everything happens so quick in the Thermomix, right? Yeah. So I'm thinking through time you are able to be freed up and go do so many other different things, which is awesome. So that's our limited time offer, which comes with purchase in that qualifying time, and talk to your consultants around the value of what that offer actually is. It's amazing. That Thermo Server is normally not something that you can access that easily. It's normally our host offer, which is brilliant. So don't waste that chance to get that. But wait, there's more. There's always more. What we currently have on offer is 36 months interest free. Fantastic way to get your Thermomix, and really talk to your consultant around the money which you are currently spending somewhere else can actually just be shuffled around to paying your Thermomix off every week. As simple as $16.26. Making your own hot cross buns, for example, will actually probably save you $16.26 per week. Trust me, once you actually do the math, it's as simple as that item that you're not buying, that you are making, can be the savings. So let's explore that a little bit more and chat to your consultant about that. Are we all good, Helen?
We are good. Perfect. All right, so that has now warmed up my milk with my yeast, and it's just heated up. There's not really much to show you there. Whoops. Can you still see my screen, everybody?
Your little one, I just have to have a little look. Helen. I don't think I can. No.
I think I'm out, so let me just
you're
back.
Awesome.
I dropped out. Hang on a moment.
That's okay. While Helen's getting that sorted, I will talk a little bit more around the paying your Thermomix off, and that might be paying it off back into your account and you to pay for your Thermomix from, or you might do it on the 36 months interest free. So I want you to consider what's in my shopping trolley, what's in my shopping basket, that if I can make something quickly and easily at home and my family can actually get involved in that, what items would I choose to do? And then you can just do the costings of what this cost me to buy, what this cost me to make. And you know what will amaze you is that there's that little pocket of money, big pocket of money already sitting there that can then go to paying your Thermomix off. Awesome. Back to you, Helen.
All right. Sorry, guys. Technical issues, as happens. I've got it back, I think. It might be on a slight angle. I'm not sure why it dropped out there. All right. It's now telling me to add the reserved grated zest and flour. So we've got that in our little bowl that we set aside from the beginning. That's getting popped in there. Next, we're going to put in 400 grams of baker's flour. Because remember we put the 100 in with the zest, if you were skipping that step because you didn't like citrus zest in there, then you definitely could just put 500 grams at this point rather than the 400. So let's just weigh in 400 of our baker's flour. You can see our scales. The feet of our machine is actually the scales of the Thermomix. Okay, I've gone a little bit over. It's not usually a big deal, and usually at home I wouldn't really care about that. But I just want to show you that if you do go a little bit too high, it actually just sits right on top at the moment. So I can actually just scoop out what I want and put it back into my container. How awesome is that? Okay, next, pinch of salt. Throw that in there. Next, oops, sorry. I like to keep the little clicker on. Now you can get rid of the little sound that you can hear, but I like it on because if I go too fast and skip 2 steps, I'll hear the click twice and it tells me that I've kind of skipped a step by mistake. So keep that little clicker on if you've got that at home. It wants 70 grams of butter. I'm going to pop that in there, just some nice softened butter, which you can, in actual fact, make your own butter. Again, like Sandy said, saving yourself money. Speak to your consultants about how you can do that. Maybe you'd like to see in one of those, your own home VCE, how butter is made from scratch. And your consultants can definitely show you that. Next, we're going to add some caster sugar, just 50 grams. So there's in actual fact not that much sugar in the hot cross buns. You can adjust that to taste. We want to put in 1 egg, which was quite a large egg, so it's filled to the brim there, but you use whatever egg you've got. And we want our spices. Now, I've already popped our spices in there. It's cinnamon, it's nutmeg, and it's cloves. So I've just popped them all into the one. So I'm just going to skip through those. And now it's telling me to insert the measuring cup, just make sure I haven't missed anything. Yep. And 6 seconds, it's going to combine all of these ingredients on speed 7. All right, so mix it. As Sandy said, things happen in seconds and minutes with the Thermomix, so it all happens. But gosh, have a look at what that's done in 6 seconds. And the smell, oh my goodness, I wish you could smell this. The spices, cinnamon's like my all-time favorite spice. It is actually a superfood. So yes, these are good for you. Well, that's what I'm going with. But that's combined it beautifully. And that's just the first step, right? Now we're going to have to knead it, but I'm just making sure that I incorporate everything off of my lid into the Thermomix because I don't like wasting any of those ingredients at all. Here we go. And the great thing is that this beautiful spatula comes with the Thermomix, so it's very, very user-friendly. All right, we've scraped down the sides and off the lid. We now are going to put our 100 gram of sultanas. I've got some raisins and currants in here. I didn't have sultanas, so I just used raisins. And that's fine. We can't be fussy right now, can we? We just got to go with what we've got at home. All right, so that's our sultanas and our raisins in my case. Putting the lid back on, and now it's going to knead. So this is one of the other amazing functions of the Thermomix where it's going to be kneading. It's got a little wheat symbol. It's already automatically selected that. So I'm just going to turn that dial And it's now kneading. And what it does is it goes one, I'm kind of inching forward so that you can hear my voice over the Thermomix, but you can, what it does when it kneads is it goes one way 5 times resting in between, and then it goes in the reverse side. Our blades have a sharp side and a blunt side. So when you don't want to chop anything any further, you would be using the blunt side of the blade, putting it into reverse. But in kneading, it does that automatically both ways. If you didn't want raisins or sultanas, you can omit that. You can put some chopped chips in there instead if you want to. If your kids don't like spices, then you can change that, change the spice to whatever they do like, or omit it completely if you want to, and it becomes more like a brioche dough with chopped chips. So you can definitely play around with the recipes, and there are, like I said, the hints and tips. Now, if I wanted to check what's next in my recipe, I could actually, in fact, press these 3 little dots and go to recipe detail. And in the recipe detail, I can go and check what my next step might be. In actual fact, I can also engage my scales, not through kneading, but when you're cooking, as long as you're not above speed 4, you can engage your scales, pop a bowl on top, take the measuring cup out, pop a bowl on top, clear your bowl's weight, and then weigh into your bowl for your next step. So it's very, very handy to be able to still use those modes and functions of the Thermomix while you're going. All right, we've got 16 seconds. The other thing is, I'm not sure, I'm going to press the home button to show you something else. It bookmarks my recipe to tell me exactly where I'm at in the recipe. And then I can go to Cookidoo, do some searching while it's doing the work for me, or go to the modes and check those out. So yeah. All right, that's automatically come back to my recipe. We're going to press next, and that's our dough done. So it's actually telling us preheat your oven now. You're going to line your baking tray. We're going to transfer this dough into our amazing silicone mat, which is our Thermomat. You can actually get this Thermomat from the mix shop. Speak to your consultant about that. They are the best tool to have in the kitchen when you're doing any sort of baking, because they're non-slip, and I use it to prove my dough, because it keeps, being silicone, it keeps the heating into your dough, and it allows it to prove beautifully. Look at that dough. Isn't that awesome? All right, to get it out of your bowl, you can either do that. It actually was playing nice with me today. Sometimes it's a little bit harder to get out depending on how wet your dough is. A little tip for you is to swivel the blade on the base, and that usually releases the dough. So most of that has come off, but because I don't like wastage, what I'm going to show you is another little tip, and that is, you'll see there's just a little bit left on that bowl. I'm going to pop it back on, and I'm just going to whack it up, press the home button. It's bookmarked my recipe. I'm going to whack it up to speed 10 for a split second. That's it, just to spit any dough off the top and the bottom side of the blade. Now, not only is that going to mean that I don't have wastage, it's also going to mean that it's going to be easier to clean, because it's getting all the sticky dough off my blades for me, just utilising the high speed of your Thermomix. Okay, let's just pop that all in there. Done. So that's much better now. All you want to do is always go in a clockwise fashion when you're using your spatula, so that you minimise, you know, your cuts in your spatula. Sorry, I'm trying to do multitask here and find spaces. Now, this dough is beautiful. It's nice and warm because we heated up the milk, and you don't need to knead it anymore. I'm just rolling it into a nice little ball. What you can do is put a tiny bit of oil on your hands if you find it's a little bit too sticky, rather than flour, because I find sometimes you can put a little bit too much flour and then it'll get heavy, the dough will get heavy. So oil, I definitely prefer oil, which I haven't taken out any in a moment, but I will later on. So I'm just going to wrap it up now and let that prove while we go on to our next recipe. We're not going to be cooking this today. We've got a one I prepared earlier moment coming up, but I am going to show you how to shape them and to make them into a beautiful, beautiful hot cross bun shape. But while we're going, I'm going to use my other bowl that I have, which in actual fact till the end of April, if you host one of these cooking experiences, I think Sandy mentioned it in her little PowerPoint before, you can get access to a bowl blade lid for free. So a second one, and a second one is so super handy to have. Any of our owners will probably attest to that. So pop in your chat boxes why you think a second bowl blade is handy, but speak to your consultant about how you can get access to that for free. And it's really all about just having one of these little VCs in your home with a few of your friends. Okay, so I'm going to skip out of this recipe. And we'll come back to it later. So cancel the recipe. Yes, I want to cancel it. And now I'm going to go into the custard. Now, because I want to show you manual cooking, and this is for if you've got a recipe of your own or you want to just do it by memory, then you'd engage manual cooking, which I'm not using a recipe on screen. I could if I wanted to, but I know this recipe off by heart. And that is our beautiful custard. So we're making an orange custard today rather than a lemon custard, which is what's in here. The tips show you how to change it to a vanilla custard, to a chocolate custard. We've got a TM6 mode, which is that thicken mode that I was talking about before. And that thicken mode, you literally just put your ingredients in. You do the first step by chopping up your rind, but then all the rest of the ingredients go in and you press your thicken mode and it will do it on its own. You will know when it's ready and when to stop. But like I said, we're doing it manual. I'm going to pop in my beautiful orange rind. I also like sometimes to make a Jaffa custard. So I put orange rind, a few blocks of chocolate or some cacao powder, and then the rest is exactly the same. And there's my Jaffa custard. But we're going to do just orange rind. I'm going to put in my sugar at this point, and that is anywhere between 80 to 100 grams of sugar, or 60 to 100, totally up to you. I have pre-weighed this, but I want to show you that I can press the scales like so and pop in my sugar. Now, as an extra cutting agent to make the rind really fine, because I don't actually like bits, I'm a bit of a texture freak. I don't like having bits in my custard. I like it to be super duper fine. And you know what? I'm going to pop in that rogue orange rind that didn't get chopped up before, but I'm going to pop in my 30 grams of flour. Now, you can use corn flour if you want to make it gluten-free. You can also use baker's flour or just plain flour if you want to. So whatever flour you've got is going to work. It just makes the consistency slightly different. I'm putting the flour in because of that cutting agent to make it super fine. So we're going to go straight up to speed 10, just for about 10-15 seconds. I'll scrape it down and see if that's Let's stop it at 10 and just check where we're at. Now, you can make your own caster sugar and your own icing sugar just with one sugar that you buy at home. And that's going to save you money as well, because anything that's been pre-milled for you at the shops, they tack on for the price. So have a think about it and maybe chat with your consultants. What kind of, oh, it smells amazing. I wish you could smell it. We need a smellogram. Someone needs to invent that. But that's all of it. And I'm just checking. It's all done. So I don't need to do that again. It's nice and fine. All right, the next things to this recipe are 2 eggs. And I have done this with just egg yolks before. If I've got leftovers, I've done it with 1.5 eggs because I use the egg white for something else like a sorbet. It still looks beautiful. And we want 500 of milk. That's the final ingredient. So let's engage our scales. And we want 500 of that. If you use flour, baker's flour or plain flour, it becomes more like a crème pâtissière, which is what sometimes we fill profiteroles and things like that with. The corn flour makes it a proper custard. And we want 500, which I think I've also measured out, but I may have put a little bit more. Sorry, it's painful when you're watching somebody else do that. That's all good. All right. We've got our milk in. We've got all of our ingredients in. Our lid goes on. I'm just going to scrape down some of the sugar that's caught on our flow breakers, which is what those little ribs on the side are called. Okie doke. And now see how the 11 seconds has stayed on my timer from the sugar that I milled just previously. It doesn't matter, because if I select it, I'm just going to go up now and select my time. But if you wanted to clear it, you just have to hold and it will clear that time back to 0 rather than you sitting there trying to put the dial back to 0. So I'm going to now put this up to 7 minutes. That's all it takes for our custard. Oops, there we go. 90 degrees because we're using milk, so you don't need to go to 100. You really don't want to boil your milk, so 90 is plenty. And it's got to go on speed 4 because it needs that higher speed. Remember, normally, traditionally, you'd be on a stove stirring this constantly. So we're going to get that same stirring happening here on that speed 4. And this is the same as that thicken mode that I showed you before. You can use that for things like bechamel sauce, hollandaise sauce, anything that you would normally be standing at a stove stirring, you could use that thicken mode for. So when I cross to this and go to speed 4, I'm going to pass you back to Sandy, who's going to take you through Cookidoo Live so that you can see and take you on a culinary tour, really, through our platform, our amazing platform.
That hasn't come up, Helen. Let me have a little look at that again. It didn't share. There we go. Now I think you can see that. Thumbs up. Helen, you can see my Cookidoo? Yes, fantastic. I'm actually on the screen of the Thermomix, which is one of the fantastic innovations of what our TM6 model has to be able to do that. So what you're seeing here that I'm going to take you through on Cookidoo, you can do on your Thermomix as well, but also there's a really fabulous app. We know that apps are often very popular because we do things on the go, or it's when we're comfortable sitting with our phone, etc. So simple as joining up for Cookidoo. If you haven't joined Cookidoo, I would really encourage you to have a chat to your consultant. They'll tell you how you can jump on there and sign up for a 30-day free trial and have a little bit of fun. And what you'll find most exciting about that is I think you're probably sitting there thinking, oh, I wonder if the Thermomix can do this, and I wonder if the Thermomix can do that. And what you'll find is that you can type whatever you're thinking into the search bar, and it can actually show you those recipes and dishes and that curiosity can make will come up for you. So this is what your screen will look like. Now I'm just going to live in the moment and talk about so let's just type in, we're into Easter and we're into, Good Fridays tomorrow, and many of us will be doing things where we might be wanting to use fish and seafood. And so I've got some lovely fish and I'm thinking, wow, what do I want to do with that today? I might want it tomorrow. I might want to do something a little bit different. So I can put into their fish. You'll see straight away it's going to give me 1,306 results with that. And it's defaulted to Australia because that's the Cookidoo platform that I joined up on. And so I can see this. Australia has been set as simply one filter. If I click and take that one filter out, you can see it opens up to 4,061 recipes, which is absolutely amazing. If you can't find something in Cookidoo, well, it's hard pressed not to. Also, this is going to take me around the world, and so I can actually now go into my filters, and I can choose whether I perhaps want to do the categories, and so I can show you all the categories. And at different times you might be looking for inspiration, and you might be doing menu planning, so you might even be doing a virtual progressive dinner. How cool would that be? So you might be responsible for doing the mains or the desserts and the sweets, so you could actually select that. Might not be fish, and that's a great way for you can actually to do the categories if you're needing categories. However, I'm just going with fish as the recipe, as the ingredient that I want to use. You could actually specifically type in different things in there for ingredients. You might be, I was going to say going away, but I suspect that you're not going away. So if you're wanting to use up bits and pieces in your fridge, pantry, type them in there. They'll into the tags. It might be simple as egg-free, dairy-free, but you can also put that into your search bar. Anything that you have a requirement for dairy-free search bar, you just put a comma in between the requests, and then that will actually find those recipes for you. Now, you depends on whether you or the children or hubby or the whole family are going to be cooking this. You can select the difficulty. You can look at the preparation compared to the total time. So these might be you defining how much time you've got to do that as well. Portion size, this is where you'll see that Thermomix supports wherever you are in your home, whether it's just you home on your own, a couple of you, or 8, more than 8, up to 8 that you can feed your family. Many think that Thermomix can't feed a large family. Trust me, Thermomix can feed a large family, and talk to your consultant because she'll show you. We've got some amazing dishes to showcase that beautifully. And when you less time, that can be really quite challenging. You can't quite justify the mess for 1 or 2. So have a chat to your consultant around seeing what particularly you need to see. Fabulous thing is that we love to know what people have loved best, and that might be our go-to place, but you also get the opportunity to rate a recipe as well. Select our version. So today I'm going to select the TM6. Languages, we have, I'm going to select English because I actually haven't learnt another language. Now that would be a great project for me in this time, wouldn't it be, to learn another language while we are at home. I might choose, because I can read UK, or I can, let me go United States and see what they're doing for fish. It's now given me 730 results, which they will have, oops, just doing that reset. That clicked over to the fish sticks. Oh, how cute did that look? So there's all my filters up there. Anytime I want to filter my search much more. So I actually might look at those fish sticks and thought, love tricking the kids. They might like, fish fingers. Let's make our own. If I choose to cook today, I can simply select cook today, or I might put it into my planner. So this is where you can get really creative and save a lot of money in menu planning. So I might menu plan that for tomorrow. And let me click on that and save. So that will menu plan that to me for tomorrow. But I also might think I actually need to go to the shops today because I want things tomorrow. So it's created my shopping list. But also you actually then at some point might have found that that's your family favourite. So you could add to a collection where you could create your own collection. And I might call that, oops, kids favourites. So I can be specific, might create so I don't have to troll through all my recipes, that I can go specifically where I've known I've saved things. Under my week, you can see, and this is some other things I've been menu planning as well, my fish sticks, my tuna avocado bowl and tuna dip. And so then it can show me my ingredients, and this is showing me my menu planning there. So in the ingredients on the shopping list, it gives you 2 ways of how you like to create that shopping list, either by category or by recipes. You'll know what works for you, and you'll also know whether you've got something which you can actually take out, and you can also add things in. So I might, because I'll take the water out, I'll also add things in, and we're about to go back to Helen. I can add them in. And the way around that then is that then to get that shopping list to her doing the shopping, send it to her, whoever's doing the shopping. So are we all good to go? Are we, Helen?
The custard is ready.
Awesome. How quick is 7 minutes?
This is the best thing about having a Thermomix in your kitchen, guys. You can just impress everybody, and people are like, oh, gee, you must have spent all day in the kitchen. No, I did not, but my Thermomix was working. So these are, I'm trying to get them in a shot so you can see. This is the custard. Beautiful custard that will thicken as it sits. My kids are going to enjoy this. And it smells amazing. It's fresh. You know exactly, oh gosh, you know exactly what ingredients have gone into that. It is so much cheaper for you to make your own desserts. And this is just one dessert that we're showing you guys. So that's, look at that, beautiful custard. So what I want to show you is this needs to prove a little bit longer. However, because we're in a little bit of time restriction here, I'm just going to show you how I would shape this, and then we're going to show you the finished product. So I've got my dough. You can roll it out into a bit of a log so that then you can cut pieces off. And normally I would be using my spatula, but this one's dirty. Okay, a little bit of custard. There we go. All right, there we go. So I'm just going to cut one, and you want to make it into a little ball. My tip for making balls is to kind of flatten it and then lift the sides to meet each other, and then lift the other sides to meet each other. So you end up with a pocket of air in there. And I usually just pinch that and then give it a roll. And there you go. You've got yourself a little roll. No currents are allowed to escape. And what I would do is in my tin that I've lined previously, I'm just going to show you that again. Flatten, lift them to meet each other, get the other sides to meet each other. So there's that nice little pocket of air. Give it a roll. I usually try to keep the bottom at the bottom. And there we go. So in my tray, I would just place them touching and line them up all together. Then you would let them prove again so that they can rise, because you've knocked it down once in this first rise. And in the recipe, it continues on with the piping. So Sandy's going to give you a tip about that in just a moment on how you pipe it, a great way to pipe, and you would pipe it on top with your little cross. And then there's, once they're baked, you put a hot syrup onto your hot cross buns as well. I
think you can do it without it.
The other thing is that you don't have to put the piping on top. Like if you can't be bothered doing the piping, you could do just the syrup at the end. And if you want to miss the syrup, you can do that too. You know, you are totally in control. So I'm just going to cross over to Sandy to just show you the finished product, and then we'll come back to me so I can finish off the whole cooking experience.
Now, this is the weirdest thing, because I'm thinking we have smellogram happening on Zoom. How could that be possible? Because Helen's making these buns and I am smelling them. So I thought that is crazy. So I'm sitting here smelling these most delightful hot cross buns. You'll see that I've got them sitting in the tray, like Helen said, so that you've got that. Don't put them flat onto a tray. Put them into a nice little tin like that, so that they touch. And so that's giving you a great little visual of that. Why the piping? Because this was one of the first things I made in 2008 when I got my Thermomix. It was one of the most fun and amazing things I felt I'd ever done with my Thermomix since, and I still love it. So when it comes to the piping, it's really just flour, oil and water, and it's just a quick little mix. It tells you to put it into a piping bag. What I do is I would actually recommend, if you're going to really knock yourself out and cook up some heaps of buns, just double that recipe. Pour it into, I just put a snap lock bag into a cup to open up the top. Pour it into just a little sandwich snap lock bag, seal it off. I then just snip the little bottom corner, and then I just pipe over the crosses over that way, and then I just put that snap lock bag back into another snap lock bag into my fridge, so that next time when I do my next batch, I've got my piping ready to go, because there is quite a bit left, and I've piped generously. There's quite a bit of piping left, so I would double it if I'm doing a batch, so that I know I'm going to have, and a little bit more. It can just sit in your fridge in a snap lock bag. So that's my tip. That's my tip for you with the piping. So now I've got to try not to eat all them.
You're gonna have to eat them. Somebody does.
They'll get eaten.
Amazing, guys. Now, what I wanted to finish up with, thanks so much for that, Sandy. I'm going to cook mine up there and take a photo later and pop it on my page. What I wanted to find out from you guys, or not me, but your consultants, let them know, you know, what did you enjoy the most about today? What was a tip that you actually picked up today that you feel you can implement in your own cooking? What other questions do you have about the Thermomix? What else would you like to see? So like I said at the beginning, the 3 opportunities that I presented to you. One is that you can have another VCE in a smaller setting with your consultant at home. Let them know the kind of things that you'd like to see. We didn't use all of the things with the Thermomix because obviously we'd be here for a long time, but there's the heat mode where you can caramelize onions. We can use the steaming basket for steaming the most amazing rice and eggs. The butterfly is the only attachment with the Thermomix that makes amazing whipped egg whites, meringues. We use it for sometimes to get fluffy risottos. And we've got our steamer, which sits on top of your Thermomix with the lid, of course, in place. And that's for steaming. And you can really bulk up your food using the Varoma. So if you wanted to see something specific or one of these particular things in use, then that's how you can reach out to your consultant, see if they can do their VCE with you, showcasing the particular function or recipe that you want to see. Also, don't forget about the Eat Well cookbook. So the other opportunity is, how do you get one of these babies in your kitchen? Reach out to your consultant. They can go through all the payment options for you. 2269 is the cost. Our best offer is to jump on board, reduce the outlay, and you know, earn your Thermomix. And that's what the business information, for those of you that are interested and want to stay on, we'll go through very quickly in a nice short 10 to 15 minute condensed version of our business information session. But by the end of April, you get this amazing Eat Well cookbook, which has fantastic nutritious meals in it, and you'll get the thermo server, which keeps food hot for 2 hours, and food cold for that matter for a longer period of time, for free, just as a gift with purchase for the end of April. And we've got our 36 months interest free. So they're the 3 opportunities. Have one of these in your home, get access to host rewards. You might even get yourself another Bobblade lid. Get yourself a Thermomix in your kitchen if you haven't got one already, or stay on and find out more about the business so that you can reduce the outlay of your Thermomix. So that's it from us today. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope you enjoyed it. Please let your consultants know feedback. Let them know how you enjoyed this. And if you make your hot cross buns or custard, take some pics and show your consultant and share. You can have bragging rights, I think, at this point in time. That's it from me, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Stay on if you want to see the business information. We're going to get started with that in about 1 minute while we wait for anybody who's not interested to jump off.